Kenner, could you please state your name and spell it for the record?
Well, actually, it's Kenneth Dwayne Lawson, K-D, Lawson, Lawson.
And how would you like to be referred to in this interview?
Boy, I've been called a lot of things.
What would you like? What would you like for the official record?
I don't know. Most guys, as of late, call me KD.
What types of holidays did you celebrate when you were a kid?
We always had a Christmas tree. Went out in the woods and got it. My dad would take us boys out and we'd pick out the best one. He always thought we had the best one in town, of course. And we probably did, but I don't remember much about any other. Easter, I remember we'd all go to church for a share together. A couple of times in Marble, they had some Lutheran church, or I think my dad might have been a Swedish Lutheran. My mother was a Methodist. But it was Protestant. Then it was two churches, Catholic or Protestant.
And you guys were the Protestants?
Yeah.
What was the military service branch that you signed up for?
U.S. Navy Reserve. That time it couldn't reserve. If you signed up in the regular Navy, you had to sign up for 4 years, I think.
Why did you choose that particular service?
Well, my older brother was in the Navy. He was on the battleship Tennessee for 3.5 years or something over. And I knew other guys, friends of mine that were in the Navy. And they kept saying, oh, could you eat compared to being in the Army or the Marines? So that was a big thing back then. And they were right. That was super, the food. When we got down to Great Lakes, well.
What age did you join in the service?
I was 17 years old.
How did you sign up, or were you drafted?
I signed up right out of high school. My buddy named Milan Miskovich and I were friends and close friends in high school and that. And the day we graduated, I think the next day we went and enlisted.
What did you enter the service rank-wise? What was your...
A seaman, apprentice seaman.
And what is the duty of the apprentice seaman?
Take orders. You learn how to march, and they put you through smoke screens and swimming and different just things, gas masks and shooting range. It is. And while I was in there, after a couple of months, the war ended. Mm-hmm. So we were scheduled to go overseas, and when the war ended.
And what were you going to be posted as once training was over?
Just a seaman. Just go on the ship, and they assign you once you get on the ship.
Okay.
Your own ship, which I ended up in China on a LST, which is a landing ship tank, which they hauled about 265, 70 feet long. Big bow doors on it that went down. They could put tanks in there, different equipment, and a lot of troops that go up to the beach, and they open them doors wide and run them tanks right up. In my job, they had what they call LBPC boats, which hauled, you see that on all these newsreels, that hauled the troops, a lot of them on the beaches from out. If they were tied out into the bay, and if you'd get on these, they'd probably hold 20 troops or something, and they did the same. You'd run it onto the beach, and they'd open up the doors, and they could run out of. We use that for liberty and that. I was one of the guys that run one of those boats.
What did you do for a career after the war?
Oh, I did a lot of different things. My last 30-some years, I retired. I was a manager of the.
What did you do for a career after the war?
Oh, I did a lot of different things. My last 30-some years, I retired. I was a manager of the Pinkerton Security Detective Agency. I was a private detective. You had to have that license in order to do what I did.
And what did you do for private detection?
Most of it was security work. In fact, there was times there when I had 250 people working under at different plants, all over the Iron Range, North Dakota, a lot of Dakotas, some Wisconsin, and of course north of Minneapolis, up to the border. So I do. I think there's a lot of things I would have done a lot different if I was older and, like I say, 14 years old, 15, I paid room and board. Not a lot, but, it's things I worked 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, 15 years old, and worked. It wasn't, it was physical. And that's, and then service at 17 and that. I think it was a little too fast.
Are you married or were you married?
Oh, yes. I got married. The first time in 47, 48 maybe. In fact, I got called back to the Korean War, and they found out when I sent my papers back that I was married, so they called me and said, just wait a while, we'll call you when we need you. At this time, we're just calling them single guys. And I was still in the Navy Reserve. So, and I never did get called. That's my brother, Beefy Bob, went in there. Unfortunately, he got TB over there in Japan.
How did you meet your wife?
Oh, just in high school. My current wife is with my chief clerk and secretary for 20-some years in Duluth. And I run a Pinkerton company there. I was a private detective and run the Pinkerton, which was a security, more security than anything, but we done some felony work and things, but I think I was divorced then, and after years she got divorced, and 6-7 years later I run into her again, and we got married. 25 years now we've been together.
Wow. And what's her name?
Betty.
Betty.
Oswald. She was an Oswald from Duluth.
Cool. In 100 years, when somebody looks back at this interview and wants to learn about you, what would you want to tell them about you, your service, and your life in general? And I can give you a moment to think about it if you wish.
Well, up and downs. Up and down. Most of the downs I caused myself. And I had a lot of good friends, I had all good jobs. I've never had to look for a job. I mean, when I grew up at the time that there was lots of jobs. If you wanted to work, you could go to work. And I wanted to work, there's no, as you never got much help. You never got any money at home. I got fed good now, but I never got 50 cents that I ever, that I can say at one time that that's the way it was. Your dad had all these bills and that to pay, and Go out and make your own.